Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the video lecture of digital signal processing. Today, I'm going to take how the digital signal processing is implemented. Okay, what are the basic requirements for the implementation of the digital signal processing? Okay, again, it will be a small introductory class regarding the implementation of the DSP. Okay, so in the previous video lecture, what we have seen is what is actually the meaning of DSP. Okay, and how the DSP is benefiting the society in the terms of whether it is biomedical, okay, whether it comes for the radio or the radar engineering or the sonar that is underwater, okay, whether is related to with respect to the communication, okay, that is telecommunication. Okay, so there are huge lot of applications are available in the DSP. Okay, so if you want to be very perfect in such kind of field, okay, or into the such kind of environment of the signal processing, okay, you need to have the whole basic required for such a subject. Okay, so today we will see how actually the DSP is being implemented. Okay, so for the implementation of this DSP, okay, we must be able to know some of the basic things, okay, which will help us to get the output. Okay, so the basic implementation of the DSP is shown in this particular diagram. Okay, it is just a generalized diagram here what we can see. So this is the DSP. Okay, it's a processor, that is digital signal processor. The input to the DSP is a digital signal, okay, and the output is also the digital signal. Okay, the important question here is how we get the digital signal. Okay, how we get the digital signal? Is there any converter is required for the conversion of your analog quantity into a digital quantity? Okay, so that is what the first we need to study, the analog part, and then come to the digital part. Okay, so what is going to happen in this DSP processor? Okay, now basically what happens here is this DSP processor normally it performs the mathematical operations or the logical operation, or it can be your data transfer. Okay, that is it perform the numerical operations like your multiplication, addition, okay, then division, then subtraction, okay, and the data transfer like from one input data to the output port, like some transferring of information from input to output part with a processed output. Okay, and then the logical operations like AND operation, OR operation, XOR, XNOR, and other various logical operations. Okay, either by making use of the computer or some special hardware. Okay, now what is this term the special purpose hardware is all about? Okay, now basically is your computer, you or your laptop is a digital. Okay, it's not analog, it is digital, but whatever the input we give to the computer, it is all digital form. There is something called as an analog to digital converter which does this operation. Okay, and the output will be into, again, either it can be into a digital form or it can be an analog quantity. Okay, so therefore either by making use of a computer, directly the computer, we can do this, we can perform the implementation of this DSP, or by using some purpose of special purpose hardware. Okay, so in the laboratory we do have the DSP processor. Okay, it is a TMS from the Texas made semiconductor. We have a processor, okay, whose series are different. Okay, now we also have the another type of a special purpose hardware whose name is OMAP L138. Okay, so this OMAP L138 is the name of the processor which does the whole complete operation of your DSP. Okay, so this is how we try to go for the implementation part of our DSP. Then what is actually the DSP and from where the DSP has come? Okay, so earlier when you see the prehistoric period of the microprocessor or the microcomputer, okay, or the microcontroller, okay, so earlier there were no devices were there who does all these different operations like the mathematical operations or the logical operations. Okay, so earlier they were before the development of your the ICs, okay, there were vacuum tubes, okay, there were transistor theory or the transistor family. okay, which does a lot of operations, which does a lot of other similar operations, we can say. Okay, but once the theory of transistors has begun, okay, from there all the transistors are being converted into its ICs, that is integrated chips. Okay, so once that integrated chip has arrived late in the 1970, the introduction to the microprocessor was made. Okay, and in early 90 the DSP techniques were used much wider with a lot of applications. Okay, so in the year 1980 itself the DSP techniques were introduced, okay, which are programmable in the sense of the same what we do programming for the C programming or C++, okay, or C hash type of programming. This DSP processor need to be programmed in a specific manner such that the DSP, what for the DSP processor, whatever the input you give, it has to produce the valuable results. That is why the reason the programming language has been introduced with respect to DSP. And this programming is language is nothing but you need to develop a code, you need to write a code such that the code should perform the mathematical operation, the code should perform the logical operation and some other operations which are relevant based on the type of applications. Okay, then these DSP chips are, again, they are designed specifically to meet the numerical intensive requirement of the DSP, and they are also capable of carrying out millions of floating point operations per second. Okay, for example, if we want to add some 10 numbers manually, it takes around some 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, but once it comes to the digital part, okay, it takes a very fraction of second to carry out the millions and trillions of operations within a blink of eye. How this is possible? This is only possible after converting your analog quantity into the digital quantity. And how this is done? This is all done by the DSP chips. Okay, now let us see how this DSP implementation is done. Okay, so this DSP implementation can be done by either analog conversion or it can be digital conversion. Okay, so to implement the DSP, we must be able to know first the DSP processor and then how this DSP processor's processed signal can be reconstructed. Okay, the very first thing here, whenever we want to study the DSP, is always remember that the input will be always analog quantity, not digital quantity. Okay, so therefore the very first operation begins from the conversion of your analog signal to digital signal. Okay, and how the conversion takes place is the conversion will start from the three important steps in ADC. So the first step that can be which is performed in the analog to digital conversion is sampling. Then the second thing is quantizing, and the third is encoding. The third is encoding. So these are the three different type of operations which is done before applying it to the DSP processor. That is, these three processes are used for your conversion of your analog signal to digital signal. Okay, and sampling is nothing but the process in which where the input signal is being discretized. Okay, it will be sampled by making use of your Nyquist criteria or Nyquist criterion. Okay, which is nothing but your sampling frequency should be twice greater or equal to or greater than 2 times the maximum frequency of the modulating signal. Okay, then if we do that sampling, okay, then we will get into the discretized signal. Okay, and then when we apply the quantizer or when we feed this discrete signal to the quantizer will quantize the signal. Okay, and then further it can be encoded in the form of binary numbers. Okay, so in this way we do go for the conversion of your analog quantity to a digital quantity. From there the signal will be processed, okay, into the DSP processor, and again it will be fed for the reconstruction. Okay, now what is the necessary of reconstruction here is whatever the signal which we have at the beginning of our signal processing, okay, For example, if this is my signal which is an input to the DSP processor, though this is an analog quantity. Now if I convert here by using the DSP process, by using my ADC here, that is nothing but your analog to digital converter. Okay, now if I want the same signal to be obtained at the output side here, like this, which is again a sine signal. Okay, or for example, you can take, if this is my voice signal, if this is my voice signal, then if I want to hear the voice signal at the receiver part, okay, or at the end part, then I should reconstruct the digitized signal. How this can be done? By making use of a reconstruction mechanism. Okay, so reconstruction, again, it involves your dequantizing, okay, decoding, okay, and then we go for reconstructions. This is how the DSP processor can be, signal can be implemented, okay, by making use of your DSP processor, okay, or just simply by converting the digital information after being processed back to the analog. Okay, that is why the reason this signal will be your analog signal and this signal will be your analog signal. But in between, whatever we do here, it is all digital. Okay, it is all digital. So that is why it involves analog to digital conversion and also the reconstruction. The meaning of reconstruction here is getting back the original signal, getting back the our information signal which we have applied at the transmitter side or at the input to the processor. Okay, so this is how we do our implementation part in both theory as well as practical analysis. Okay, so once we know this, how these DSP are done, then we can also go for the implementation in such a way that the sampling and the reconstruction can also be done. Okay, so the things what I have showed in the previous slide uh, can be transformed in a better way. That is, first we do sampling, that is analog signal will be sampled, or simply you can say discretized and encoded and then applied to the DSP processor. Okay, so this can be how this can be done. This involves the sampling and involves the analog to digital conversion. Okay, then this is more simplified diagram and the complete DSP implementation. Okay, where an input will be your analog signal which is sampled at a request rate and then it is applied to DSP processor. Okay, and then once this is done, this can be reconstructed back to its original form by making use of reconstruction filters. Okay, here you can see both ADC and DAC conversions are done in the DSP, that is analog to digital conversion and from digital to analog conversion. You can see first we go for analog to digital conversion, which is must and should, and again from analog to digital to analog conversion, again back to its original format. Okay, and here you can see in the example, that is digital recording and playing back of music. Okay, that is signal is sensed by the microphone, which is then amplified, converted to digital, processed and converted back to analog, which is to be played at the earphone side. Okay, so this is how we go for the conversion mechanism from analog to digital and digital to analog signal. Now, after doing all this operation, okay, we find some of the limitations of DSP. Okay, limitations is nothing but it is just like some kind of a drawback. Okay, so most of the analog signals are in nature, this is the fact, and they have to be sampled if you want to go for digital. Okay, so what happens during the conversion from analog quantity to a digital quantity is we may find the loss of information. Okay, loss of information. How the loss of information is going to take place in the conversion? So when we start the discretizing our analog signal, okay, we take only few samples at different intervals. Okay, and the remaining samples we may keep or we may skip out. Okay, so those samples which are left out may carry some or the other important information. So therefore it is necessary that we should take the samples in such a way that it should not, the data whatever we sample, it should not be lost. Okay, and the second problem or the limitation in the DSP is aliasing. The meaning of aliasing is overlapping of the signals on each other, or you can say distinguishing between the higher frequencies and the lower frequencies is not possible in conversion mechanism. Sometimes the signal will overlap, or the samples will overlap on each other. That is the reason, to avoid the concept of aliasing, we make use of sampling theorem. So the sampling theorem says that just to avoid the aliasing, the sampling rate must be at least 2 times the maximum frequency, 2 times, or it can be twice the maximum frequency component of the message signal or the original signal. Okay, so if you find difficulty in removing the aliasing, you can increase the maximum frequency component. Now, once you study the limitations, okay, there are one more possibility in the limitation, that the limited frequency resolution. Okay, we only take samples for a limited period of time. Okay, limited period of time in the sense, if the signal is too large and if the signal is assumed to be a periodic signal is nothing but the signal which repeats equal times or repeat after same interval amount of time, then that particular signal we call it as a periodic signal. Okay, so if the assumptions are made that the signal is a periodic signal, and if you take only a small first period of time, and in that particular first period of time, if you take only the limited number of samples, then there is a problem of resolution, that is nothing but relatively slow changes. So that is why the reason it has to be sampled at the Nyquist rate. Okay. Then coming to the advantages of the digital signal processing over the analog signal processing. The first digital advantages here is why we need to choose the analog, why we need to choose the digital signal processing over the analog signal processing. The first here is the system whatever we design, which is in the form of digital, can be simply reprogrammable. Okay, but if it is in case of the analog, then it cannot be reconfigured. So therefore, reconfiguring the analog system in the sense changing your whole system design, and also you need to verify the reconfigured analog signal such that you get the appropriate results. But in case of the digital signal processing, you need to program only reprogram the application such that even though the hardware is not changed, still the reprogram can make an effect. Then the second point here is the DSP provides the better control of accuracy requirements, because the analog signal, they depends on the component tolerance, they depend on the environmental changes, and they depend on the responses from the temperature. So because of all these parameters, your analog system may not give the accurate results when it is compared to DSP. Okay, then the last point here is the digital signals can be easily stored without deterioration. That is nothing but it is very difficult for the person to store the analog quantity into a transportable form or into a memory. So therefore, if you want to store the analog signal into some memory, then that has to be digitized, that has to be converted into the digital format. So that is why the reason the analog digital signal processings are more advantageous than analog signal processing. And the last point here is it is more sophisticated signal processing algorithms can be implemented. That is nothing but if you are programming in such a way that if you find something more difficult in analog form, then simply by digitizing you can make it precise mathematical operation. It is only possible because when you go for programming, there are n number of functions and syntax are already defined. Using those programming functions and syntax, you can make your programming length smaller, concise, precise, such that it will not become more difficult for a DSP processor to analyze the given problem statement. So this is how we find how the digital signal processings are benefiting the analog signal over the analog signal processing. These are few of the references. You can go through these references and find more related stuff related to digital signal processing. Thank you.